Welcome back to another episode of Everyday English. Today's topic is English on the job, learning while you work, picking up phrases from the workplace. I'm Emma.
And I'm Liam. And if you're someone working in an English-speaking environment or with international colleagues, this episode is definitely for you.
That's right. A lot of people think the only way to learn English is through classes or textbooks, but actually, the workplace is one of the best places to improve naturally, if you know how to pay attention.
Exactly. Let's start with the basics. Emma, what kind of English phrases do people usually pick up just by being in a work environment?
Well, for starters, lots of common phrases related to teamwork. Things like, let's touch base, which means to check in with someone, or I'll loop you in, which means to include someone in the conversation, or email thread.
Yeah, I've also heard, circle back, meaning to return to a topic later. These little phrases are everywhere in office life, and they are not always obvious unless you're really listening.
True. And if you're working in customer service, you might hear a bear with me, or thanks for your patience. These are polite ways of asking someone to wait.
Right, and another great part of learning English on the job is repetition. If you hear, can you give me a quick update, every Monday, eventually you'll know exactly what it means and how to use it.
Yes. And one helpful habit is writing down phrases or words you hear often, but don't fully understand. Look them up later, or ask a co-worker you trust.
Totally agree. Also, listening to how native speakers give feedback or ask questions is huge. You can learn polite forms, like, would you mind taking a look at this, instead of just, check this.
Exactly. And sometimes, people pick up new vocabulary just by reading emails, especially things like formal sign-offs, best regards, kindly, or even as per our last conversation.
Yep. Work emails are full of professional tone examples, and if you pay attention, you can start mimicking that language in your own writing. It's like free training every day.
And even if you don't work in an office, there are still chances to learn. If you work in hospitality, retail, or construction, you'll hear tons of practical vocabulary about tools, locations, time, and people.
True. No matter the job, you're using real-life English, and that's the kind of language that sticks with you.
Let's talk a bit about how to make the most of your work environment for learning. One tip I always give is, don't be afraid to ask questions. If someone uses a phrase you don't know, just say, hey, I'm trying to improve my English. What does that mean? Most people are happy to explain.
Totally. It shows you're eager to learn, and honestly, people respect that. And it helps build relationships with coworkers too. You're not just learning the language, you're connecting.
Exactly. And another thing is, don't shy away from small talk. Even just saying, how was your weekend? Or, did you watch the game last night? Can build confidence. You'll hear how native speakers respond and how they express themselves casually.
Yeah, small talk can be intimidating at first, but it's really where you pick up natural rhythm, pronunciation, and slang. Things you can't always learn from books.
Right? And if you want to go a step further, you can even keep a little English journal at work. After your shift or during a break, jot down new phrases you heard, things you said, or even mistakes you made. Reflecting helps you remember better.
That's a great idea. It's like reviewing your day through the lens of language learning. And over time, you'll see how much progress you've made just by noticing and practicing consistently.
And one last tip for now, repeat what you hear. If someone says a phrase like, let's wrap this up, and you're not familiar with it, try using it the next time. Imitation builds fluency.
Yep, like a parrot with purpose. Repetition builds confidence. And honestly, when your co-workers hear you using native expressions, it leaves a strong impression. They'll likely speak with you more naturally too.
Exactly. The more you engage, the more you learn. Language learning doesn't have to feel like homework. Sometimes, it's just about being present and curious during your everyday work life.
Another cool thing is meetings. I know they can be stressful, especially if you're still gaining confidence, but they are packed with useful phrases. Like, you'll hear things such as, let's circle back to this, or, I'd like to add something here. Try to listen for patterns.
Yes. And even if you don't speak much during the meeting, you can still be active by taking notes, writing down how people start or end their sentences. Later, you can practice those structures on your own.
Exactly. And if you do get a chance to speak, even if it's short like, I agree with that point, or, let me clarify, go for it. Start small. Those little contributions build up.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Honestly, the workplace is one of the best places to learn from them. People are focused on getting things done, not on perfect grammar.
That's true. As long as your message is clear, people won't mind if your grammar isn't perfect. And with time, your accuracy improves just by hearing and using the language every day.
And if your job involves emailing in English, huge bonus. That's a different skill, and you can learn tons from how coworkers write. Save well-written emails as models. Use them when you have to write similar messages.
Oh, yes. You can build your own email phrase bank. Like, how people open, how they request things politely, how they close the email, so helpful.
Definitely. And some jobs even offer English training or workshops. If your company has that, don't hesitate, join. You'll meet others who are learning too, and it builds a support network.
Totally agree. And even outside official training, just having English-speaking colleagues can be a goldmine. You can ask them questions like, hey, what's a natural way to say this, or does this sentence sound okay? Most people are happy to help.
Yes. And something I did was start a mini language exchange at work. Just 15 minutes over coffee break, where I help someone with my native language and they help me with English. It made a big difference and built cool connections too.
That's awesome. It makes learning feel less like a chore and more like part of your day. Also, don't forget about reading documents, manuals, and reports. Even though they can be technical, they expose you to vocabulary you don't often see in everyday conversations.
Yeah, and when you read those, take note of any recurring phrases or formal expressions. Then try to use them next time you're writing or speaking in a meeting. It gives you that professional polish.
Exactly. And if your job involves customer service or sales, that's even better. You get to practice listening, responding, clarifying, real, useful communication.
And every time you interact with a native speaker, whether it's a coworker or a client, you're building fluency. It's like a real-world classroom. Mistakes are just part of the learning process.
Couldn't have said it better. The workplace is full of chances to grow your English skills naturally. You just have to stay open, curious, and a little bit brave.
And speaking of being brave, one thing I found super helpful was volunteering to lead small parts of meetings. Even just saying, let me summarize the last point, helped me build confidence little by little. It's low pressure but powerful for practice.
That's a solid tip. You don't need to lead an entire meeting right away. Just small contributions. And if your job includes writing emails, you can improve your written English too. Tools like Grammarly can help you catch mistakes and suggest more natural phrasing.
Yes. And something I also did was keep a little notebook or digital file of useful expressions I hear or read at work. Things like, let's circle back to that, or just to clarify, these small phrases make a big difference in sounding fluent.
Absolutely. Those fixed expressions are the secret sauce of sounding natural. And you get them for free just by paying attention at work. Plus, once you use them a few times, they become second nature.
Another underrated way to learn is just to observe how others communicate. Notice how they open and close emails, how they phrase requests politely, or how they ask for help. Mimicking those patterns is a great shortcut to fluency.
Yes. I used to copy email templates from colleagues and adapt them to my own tasks. It saved time and helped me internalize good business English. And over time, you stop copying and start creating your own confidently.
Exactly. And let's not forget about using work breaks to chat with co-workers about non-work topics. Talking about the weekend or lunch plans can really help your casual English too.
So true. Those small chats help you relax with the language and improve your fluency without even realizing it.
Right, and in those informal conversations, you also pick up on cultural norms, like when it's okay to use humor, or how to politely disagree. It's not just the language you're learning, but how to use it naturally in social settings.
Exactly. And even if you're shy, you can start small. Maybe just a good morning and a comment about the weather. Then build from there. The key is consistency. Use English every day, even in little ways.
Another strategy one loved was mentally narrating what I was doing during work tasks. Like, now I'm checking emails, or let's prepare the spreadsheet for the team. It trains your brain to think in English without needing to translate.
Yes. That's a great technique. And you can pair it with shadowing, repeating phrases you hear your co-workers say, either in your head or out loud later. It's like practicing with real-life material.
Also, don't be afraid to ask your colleagues questions like, how do you usually say this in English? Most people are happy to help if you show you're trying to learn.
Definitely. People appreciate the effort. And when you admit you're learning, it often leads to positive encouragement rather than judgment.
And the beauty of using English on the job is that it's practical. You're not just learning theory from a textbook, you're applying it in a meaningful context that makes everything stick better.
And when something sticks because it helped you solve a real problem at work, it becomes unforgettable. Like the first time I had to explain a delay in a project over email, I'll never forget the phrases I used that day because I really needed them.
Oh yeah, those high-pressure moments become learning gold. Same here. Once I had to give a quick update in a meeting, and I learned the phrase, we're currently on track, but monitoring closely. I've used it ever since.
That's so useful. And you're also picking up tone, how to sound professional, friendly, assertive, or diplomatic. Those are hard to learn from books alone.
Exactly. I noticed how my manager used polite requests instead of direct orders. Like, instead of saying do this, she'd say, could you take care of this when you get a chance? That kind of softening is something you learn by exposure.
Or when people wrap criticism in compliments. Like, you did a great job on the layout, just one small tweak I'd suggest. That kind of phrasing teaches you how to give and receive feedback gracefully.
Yes. And if your job involves customer service or client communication, you're also learning how to build trust, apologize politely, and clarify misunderstandings, all in English. That's incredibly valuable.
And you don't have to work in a big international company to get this kind of practice. Even small businesses with occasional English emails or online chats can be your training ground.
That's true. I've even seen people improve a lot just by handling English invoices, product descriptions, or writing short posts in English for their company's social media.
Right. It's about using what you already have. Your workplace is like a language classroom you go to every day, without even realizing it.
Exactly, and the cool thing is, you're not just memorizing random vocabulary. You're learning words and expressions that matter to you, because they are part of your daily work life. It's like customized English practice.
That's such a good way to look at it. Plus, you get repetition naturally. If you're always updating clients, reporting numbers, or following up on tasks, you'll use those same phrases again and again until they become second nature.
Yes. And the repetition doesn't feel boring because you're doing real things, not drills. Every time you use those phrases, you're communicating with purpose.
You also get immediate feedback in many cases. Like, if your message wasn't clear, someone might ask for clarification, or your boss might rephrase what you said. That helps you improve fast.
And don't forget, you can always ask co-workers or supervisors for help. Most people are happy to explain phrases, or even correct your English if you show you're open to learning.
That's true. I once had a colleague who helped me understand the difference between by Friday and until Friday. Little things like that can totally change what you're saying.
And those little lessons add up over time. One day, you'll look back and realize how far you've come, just from picking up language on the job.
Absolutely. And one more thing people often overlook is listening. Just listening to how others talk during meetings, presentations, or even casual chats in the break room can teach you a lot, like tone, word choice, even humor.
That's so true. I used to jot down interesting phrases my co-workers used, things like circle back, touch base, or keep me in the loop. Later, I'd try using them in my own conversations.
Oh yeah, workplace idioms are everywhere. And understanding them helps you sound more natural and feel more included in the culture.
Also, if your company uses tools like Slack, Microsoft Teams, or emails, you can learn a lot from written communication too. It's like a daily English class built right into your job.
Exactly. You can even mirror the structure or tone you see in others' messages. If someone says, just checking in to see if you had a chance to review this, you can reuse that same phrase when following up.
Yes, and don't forget meetings. They are a goldmine. You can prepare ahead with key phrases like, I'd like to add something, or may I clarify that point. Having a few go-to expressions can boost your confidence big time.
Definitely. And even if you're nervous about speaking, just starting small, maybe asking questions or agreeing with someone's idea, gets the momentum going. You build fluency gradually, and that's okay.
Well, I think we've covered some really useful ways to make the most of your job as an English learning environment. From listening and picking up common phrases to practicing emails and joining meetings actively, it all adds up over time.
Totally. Just remember, you don't need to be perfect to participate. Every message you write, every conversation you have, it's all practice. So treat your job like a language classroom and be proud of the progress you're making.
And if you ever feel stuck, just remind yourself, learning through real-life experience is one of the most powerful ways to grow. You're not just working, you're learning, adapting, and improving every day.
Exactly. So keep showing up, keep speaking up, and keep learning on the job. You've got this.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope this episode helped you see your workplace in a whole new way, as a language lab full of opportunities. See you in the next episode.